Every time you lose a permanent tooth, your body treats it like a closed chapter. Unlike sharks who cycle through thousands of teeth in a lifetime, humans are biologically hard-coded to stop at 2 sets. It's a limitation we've accepted as an absolute law of nature for millennia. But here is the fascinating part. The blueprints for a third set of teeth are actually hidden inside your jaw right now. They aren't missing, they're just suppressed. Your body has a software lock preventing these dormant buds from ever developing into full-grown molars. For decades, we thought this was just how human evolution worked, but recent breakthroughs have revealed that this isn't an absence of ability, but an active suppression. We finally found the specific protein acting as the brake on our regenerative potential.
In the animal kingdom, regeneration is a common feature. Alligators and sharks have a continuous conveyor belt of teeth. They use a highly efficient signaling system that constantly triggers new growth. Humans actually share many of these same genetic markers, yet ours remain silent. This silence is caused by a specific evolutionary trade-off. By limiting our tooth sets, our ancestors likely saved massive amounts of metabolic energy. But in the modern world, where we live much longer than our ancestors, this savings has become a significant biological hurdle. The secret lies in the dental lamina, a band of tissue that forms during fetal development. In most animals, this lamina stays active. In humans, it disappears or goes dormant after the second set of teeth forms, effectively unplugging the power to the tooth factory.
For over a century, the only way to fix a missing tooth was to drill a hole in the bone and screw in a piece of titanium. It's a mechanical solution to a biological problem. While effective, these implants lack the nerves, ligaments, and natural feel of a real tooth. Implants are essentially dead objects. They don't grow, they don't heal, and they don't adapt to the shifting of your jaw over time. This creates a massive engineering challenge for dentists, who have to perfectly align a static metal object with living, changing tissue. But what if we could skip the metal entirely? What if we could trick the body into doing what it already knows how to do? This is the core of the third set project, moving from mechanical replacement to biological reactivation. The journey to this discovery started with a simple observation. Some people are born with supernumerary teeth, extra teeth beyond the normal 32. This condition, called hyperdomptia, proved that the human body still has the machinery to build more teeth if the signals are right. Researchers began looking for the master switch that controls this. They found it in a protein called USAG-1. In normal humans, USAG-1 is highly active, constantly telling the tooth buds to stay asleep. It's the ultimate biological gatekeeper. By studying mice and ferrets, animals with tooth patterns similar to humans, scientists discovered that if they could just turn off this one protein, the dormant buds would suddenly spring to life. The results were nothing short of miraculous.
But turning off a protein isn't as simple as flipping a switch. You have to be incredibly precise. USAG-1 doesn't just affect teeth, it plays roles in other parts of the body too. The challenge was finding a way to target only the tooth buds without causing side effects elsewhere. This required a deep dive into the molecular signaling pathways of the cell. Specifically, two major players, BMP, or bone morphogenetic protein, and Wnt signaling. These are the messengers that tell cells to start building bone and enamel. USAG-1 works by binding to these messengers and neutralizing them. It's like intercepting a letter before it can be delivered. To grow a tooth, we had to find a way to stop the interceptor, and that's where the engineering of monoclonal antibodies comes in. To understand how we grow a tooth, we have to look at the signaling war happening at the molecular level. Think of BMP and Wnt as the go signals for growth. They are the construction workers ready to build the tooth structure. But USAG-1 is the stop signal. It physically blocks the receptors on the cell surface, preventing the BMP and Wnt signals from getting through. As long as USAG-1 is present, the construction workers never receive their orders. The breakthrough came when researchers realized they didn't need to change the DNA. They just needed to temporarily remove the USAG-1 protein from the equation. If they could unplug the inhibitor for just a short window of time, the tooth-building process would start automatically.
The tool used to do this is a monoclonal antibody. These are lab-engineered proteins designed to bind to one specific target with extreme precision. In this case, the target is the USAG-1 protein itself. Think of the antibody like a specialized cap that fits over the USAG-1 protein. Once the cap is on, USAG-1 can no longer bind to the BMP or Wnt receptors. The brake is effectively removed, allowing the natural growth signals to flood the area. This is a masterpiece of biological engineering. By using an antibody, scientists can trigger a massive, complex growth process, building enamel, dentin, and nerves using only a single targeted injection. In 2024 and 2025, the first human trials began, focusing on patients with congenital anodontia, a genetic condition where people are born missing some or all of their teeth. This was the ultimate test for the monoclonal antibody treatment. The results, which became a global sensation by 2026, were definitive. The treatment successfully unplugged the suppression in the human jaw. Patients who had never grown certain adult teeth suddenly saw new, natural buds forming on their x-rays. This wasn't just a small success. It was a proof of concept for whole organ regeneration. We had successfully used a drug to trigger the growth of a complex, multi-layered human organ from scratch. The growth process itself is a marvel of nature. Once the USAG-1 brake is removed, the dormant tooth bud begins to rapidly divide. It organizes itself into layers. The ameloblasts create the hard enamel, while odontoblasts build the dentin underneath. As the tooth grows, it naturally recruits blood vessels and nerves from the surrounding jaw tissue. This is something a titanium implant can never do. The new tooth is wired into the brain's sensory system, allowing you to feel pressure and temperature. The tooth then erupts through the gum line, just like a child's tooth would. It follows the exact same mechanical path, guided by the surrounding teeth to find its perfect place in your smile. It is a perfectly self-assembling system. The engineering of the antibody itself was the hardest part. Early versions were too strong, affecting BMP signaling in the rest of the skeleton. Scientists had to tune the antibody to have a very specific affinity, ensuring it only stayed active in the jaw area. They achieved this by targeting a specific epitope, a tiny part of the USAG-1 protein that is uniquely accessible in the dental lamina. This geofencing at the molecular level is what makes the treatment safe for general use. By 2026, the success of these trials proved that we could control the body's most fundamental growth signals. We aren't just fixing tooth, we're learning how to speak the language of the cells to rebuild ourselves from the inside out. The transition from titanium to tissue is more than just a medical upgrade. It's a paradigm shift. For the last 50 years, dentistry has been about better materials, stronger ceramics, tougher metals. Now, it's about better biology. In the near future, instead of a painful surgery to install a bridge or implant, a dentist might simply give you a localized injection. Over the next few months, your body would do the heavy lifting, growing a custom-fit replacement that is genetically yours. This means no more rejection of implants, no more metal allergies, and no more bone loss that typically occurs when a tooth is missing. The new tooth actually maintains the health of the surrounding jawbone just by existing. This technology also opens the door for precision medicine. We can potentially program the size and shape of the new tooth by adjusting the concentration and duration of the antibody treatment. It's custom-tailored dentistry at the molecular level. Imagine being able to correct a lifetime of dental issues with a single treatment cycle. For the millions of people who suffer from tooth loss due to age, injury, or decay, this is a life-changing development that restores not just function, but confidence. And it's not just about one tooth. This research is a North Star for other types of regeneration. If we can regrow a tooth, why not a finger? Why not a patch of heart tissue? The mechanisms we've unlocked here are the keys to a much larger kingdom. But with great power comes the need for careful management. As we move toward 2030, the dental industry will have to reinvent itself. We'll need new protocols for monitoring growth and ensuring that the new teeth integrate perfectly with the old ones. There are also questions of accessibility. Initially, these monoclonal antibody treatments will be expensive, much like early gene therapies. The challenge for the next decade will be scaling the manufacturing to make this available to everyone, not just the wealthy. The engineering required to mass-produce these specific antibodies at a low cost is the next great hurdle. But given the massive demand, nearly every human on Earth will lose a tooth eventually. The incentive to solve this is enormous. What's truly amazing is that this entire field of biodentistry was hidden in plain sight. The dormant buds were always there. The BMP signals were always ready. We just didn't know how to speak the right command to start the process. It's a reminder that the human body is the most sophisticated piece of engineering in the known universe. Sometimes the best way to fix it isn't to add something new, but to simply remove the obstacles that are preventing it from fixing itself. We are moving into an era where permanent no longer means irreplaceable. The third set of teeth is just the beginning of a future where our bodies are no longer limited by the biological breaks of our ancestors.
Next time you look in the mirror and see your teeth, remember that they aren't just static tools for eating. They are part of a dynamic, living system that we are finally learning how to unlock. The blueprint for your next smile is already inside you. The 2026 clinical success of USAG-1 inhibition has changed the course of medical history. We've proven that dormancy is not the same as death, and that with the right molecular key, we can restart the engines of growth at any age. So keep an eye on the horizon. The day is coming when a missing tooth is nothing more than a temporary inconvenience, a problem that your own body, with a little help from science, will solve all on its own.